I'm here in front of the chapel with Pastor Steve. Pastor Steve, can you tell us from a ministerial perspective why it's important for churches to remain open? Why is it essential?
Well, you know what? Speaking in terms that everyone's going to understand, I think what's gone on with the closure of the churches, with all these lockdowns and so on, they haven't taken into account the fact that people are under mental duress and spiritual duress. There's a lot of people are anxious, and the depression is at an all-time high. I'm sure you've heard it through the papers and stuff like that about suicide rates and stuff like that. And as a minister, I deal with this on a daily basis. I deal with people calling that are in the depths of despair, that are ready to end it all or divorce their wives or husbands and move on and stuff like that. So, I mean, the virus is a real thing. We acknowledge that, we know. Obviously, through the course of time, we've come to realize that, it's the mortality rate that they initially gave us is not at all what it was initially stated as. So the thing is, it's time for us to move on. Instead of implementing lockdown measures that are actually destroying lives and families, I mean, it's time to open things up. Church is essential because the thing is, we meet another need. We meet a spiritual and mental and a psychological need that people need.
What other services are offered inside the church? I know that there's several services offered inside the church other than Mass or the regular get-togethers, the Sunday get-togethers. Right? Can you clarify that?
Well, in terms that everyone would understand, I mean, we have counselors that are here, so we counsel people, we help people out through difficult situations. We help people with financial difficulties as well. I mean, we offer, even just to do a funeral, for instance, okay? We do funerals, we've done quite a lot. And the thing is, it's even that's closed down. Families are mourning and they can't even have the chance to mourn and do things properly. So it's not just the services that we have on Sunday. I mean, we meet people's physical needs by giving them food. We feed 150 families every week. We do that social duty. We fulfill that. But at the same time, it's we have counseling, we have premarital counseling, postmarital counseling. We have fellowship groups, support groups. I think some people would take it in that sense. And so, you know what? And then on top of that, I mean, from a spiritual perspective as a Christian, we're ordered to meet together. So the thing is, anything that would stop us from meeting together goes against our belief, goes against the God that we serve. So for us, it's a question of honoring our God. And so if people think, oh, you can live without going to church. No, people can't live without being together because the body of Christ was always meant to be unified and together as much as possible. That's what the Bible tells us.
But do you feel that the government took into consideration the spiritual aspects?
None whatsoever.
So do you feel that this is a secular decision?
Well, I think it's well known the fact that Quebec is a secular province, and they've made it very clear, taking down crucifixes and all that stuff, so you can understand how they feel about religion. As far as Christianity is concerned, it's a minority here in Quebec, and so the thing is, they didn't take anything into consideration. They lament the fact that there's not enough psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatrists to be able to meet the need that people are calling suicide hotlines looking for help. And so what they did was they weakened things by shutting down the church. They actually have no value for the church or any other religious organization for that matter. So the thing is, they didn't take that into consideration. They never spoke to anyone. They never called the churches. They may have spoken to one or two people that are part of some organization, but that communication didn't come down to the rest of the churches and the rest of the group.
So what message do you want to give to the government and all the people standing here today? I mean, you have about 120 people standing outside today from your congregation. Yeah. What message are you guys here to give?
Well, here, it's very simple. If you saw the signs are simply a picture of a church and it says essential. The message is the church is more essential than you think. It's unequivocally essential.
And just to clarify, I mean, are we just talking about churches, or are we talking about, community-based centers, spiritual centers?
Listen, at this point in Canada, we have a right to freedom of religion. I'm speaking from the perspective of a Christian perspective, but I don't think any house of worship, regardless of whatever God you worship and stuff, should be closed. I think now's the time when people are desperate, when they need help, and so at this point, it's not about the God that they worship. It's about the government overreaching into the affairs of the church, which should never happen. People often talk about the separation of church and state. Well, the thing is, obviously, the state has made has overreached grossly into the affairs of the church, which should have never happened. Church or any other religious organization. So I'm being very clear on that one. But I'm a representative of the Church of Jesus Christ. So right now, I speak on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ, and if there's other people that want to get on board with what we're doing and they want to do the same thing, I encourage everyone.
And just to be clear, what are you doing here today exactly? I mean, because I noticed that everybody is wearing a mask. They're standing outside. They're social distancing.
Right.
How were you operating during the time that you were open at the start of the pandemic with the new regulations? How were the operations here? Were there any troubles with?
Well, we were forced to go online 100% early on in April, so obviously it was around Easter, so we missed our Easter service, which is obviously for Christians a very important time. We missed that, so we had to go online completely. And then as the government kind of adjusted the restrictions, we were able to meet. And in the church, we have several different rooms, and so we socially distance the chairs. We have the sanitizer, we have the stickers, we have masks and all that stuff, all as you come in the church and stuff. So we were respecting the...
So do you feel that your church was secure? I mean, according to the...
Yeah, absolutely.